All right, let's talk about Psalm 83 and let's wrestle through the concept or the idea that perhaps right now what's going on in Israel, is this the Psalm 83 war? Is that what's going on here with Israel versus Hamas? So if you haven't read Psalm 83, I would encourage you to read it. This is just going to be a quick little video. Nobody knows when Psalm 83 was written. You can kind of guess. Perhaps it was written when the 10 northern tribes of Israel got carried away by the Assyrians, or perhaps it was written during the time of when Judah got carried away into Babylon, somewhere in that time frame. So what do we have here? We have 9 nations that are written about in Psalm 83. So we have Edom, we have the Ishmaelites. We know where they come from. We know where the Edomites come from. That's from Esau. Ishmaelites comes from Ishmael. And then we have the Hagarites. Actually, we have Moab, which comes from Lot's children, Moab. And then we have Gebal, which is around, where are they located? Around Lebanon, I believe. Southernmost part of Lebanon, in that area. Then you have the Hagarites, which some people say are descendants from Hagar, which is kind of a weird way to put it because you'd think it's actually the descendants of Ishmael, but I've heard some people say that these are the Hagarites. So they're a nomadic group of people, if you will. I think it's around the Sinai area. And then you have the Ammonites, which are also the descendants of Lot. And then you have the Amalekites, which are extinct. They're basically extinct today. They were absorbed into other nations and they just disappeared forever. Then you have Philistia, which is along the Gaza Strip. That's where the Philistines used to live and used to give a lot of trouble to King David and to King Saul and etc. Then you have, who's the last one? Tyre. So that's around the Lebanon area as well. So you got these 9 nations represented here. Again, some of these nations don't necessarily exist today in the same form that they did back then. You still have the capital city of Ammon, which is again descendants of Lot. So what's interesting here is these nations conspire to get together. They're all on the same page to take over these vacant homes. Why? Because Israel in its entirety, the house of Israel, had been carried away, just at separate times. So my question to you is that what it looks like right now, today? Because we see that Hamas is located in the Gaza Strip, and right away we go, okay, is there any verse, any chapter in the Bible that talks about the Gaza Strip and other surrounding nations? And you look and you go, okay, Psalm 83 seems to fit that bill, but it's not really about Philistia. It's more about what these surrounding nations are trying to do. They're trying to take over the land, if you will. They're trying to exploit these empty homes and spoil them because there's nobody there. There's nobody looking after it. And consequently, yes, to try and get rid of the name of Israel. But what's interesting is at the end of Psalm 83, it is, whoever the author was mentions that by the end of this time period, the whole world will know that Jehovah is God. And I would actually have to ask the question, does Israel even know God right now? And I would question that. I don't think all of Israel is a believer right now. And they're for sure not they do not represent the entire house of Israel. You have at least 10 tribes missing. At least 10. All you have right now is a small pocket of people that call themselves Jews, and they may not even be from the tribe of Judah. They could just be practicing Judaism. They could be born an Israeli. After 1949, if you're born in Israel, you are considered an Israeli citizen. And then you'd also have to look up the lineage of your mother, and if she's born in Israel, if she's an Israeli, then you would be granted citizenship if you meet the criteria. You have to stay in Israel. You have to renounce or get rid of your other visas, if you will, your other citizenship. So if you're an American, you cannot have a dual citizenship if you want to be a citizen in Israel. They frown upon that. You cannot do that. It's not like you could be a dual citizen in Canada. You could have a American passport and a Canadian passport as well, and vice versa. If you lived in the United States, you could do that as well, but not so if you are wanting to become an Israeli citizen. You have to forego your other passports, your other citizenships. So my question is, does Israel today believe in God? Do they believe in Jehovah? I think that's a fair question, because again, we have some of these nations that are basically extinct, and just because there are people in those areas, that doesn't necessarily mean that represents those people. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying that this isn't the Psalm 83 war, but is it? That's the question. It feels like America loves to find wars. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, anytime there's a little bit of trouble somewhere, they're right away looking for an excuse that this is the end war. This is it. And they get all excited about it. And if you talk about other things like life, they don't get as excited. And when I say America, I'm including Canadians as well. Because sometimes this is all people could talk about is war, and rumors of wars and all this kind of stuff. And I think what's happening is there's going to be a little bit of fatigue, especially heading into American Thanksgiving. There's all kinds of sports going on in America. There's all kinds of entertainment. There's new movies coming out, all this kind of stuff. So this war in Israel will become passé to America. That's what happens. That's the nature of America. That's the nature of living in America, is we forget about what's going on in other parts of the world. We just do. And again, I'm including myself because we live in North America. So this is what we do. We forget what goes on, and then when something bad happens, all of a sudden we're looking through scripture going, oh yeah, this has to be the Psalm 83 war. This has to be the Ezekiel 38 war. We just throw them all in there. This is it. This is where God intervenes on a nation that doesn't love him, and he's going to intervene and wipe out the devil. Yeah, that's it. That's what people are saying. They're saying that right now. I've watched YouTube videos where people will say, this is the Ezekiel 38 war that's happening right now, and God is going to stop any nation that comes against Israel and is going to wipe them off the map, including Damascus. Damascus is going to get disintegrated. Iran is going to be disintegrated. Like, they're just throwing out names of countries, Egypt, all this stuff. They're just throwing them out saying, oh yeah, God's going to make them toast. Really, he's going to intervene. He's going to intervene. So how do you introduce the Antichrist into this picture? Or did you forget about the Antichrist showing up? What's going on right now could lead to the Antichrist showing up in the world, which means this is only the beginning of sorrows. This is not the end. This is not God intervening. This is a chess piece that is being played by the world in order to introduce the Antichrist. And if we're not careful, we can look at the wrong signs and misinterpret things and go, oh, the Antichrist is actually the Messiah. Because look at this. He solved world peace. He came in at the last minute and signed a peace deal. And there's never been peace in the Middle East, and this guy did it. And now they're building a temple in Israel. This must be the Messiah that they were talking about. Excuse me. And this is how I believe many people will be led astray, because they're already leaping to say this is the Ezekiel war, and the only way for this to end properly is for God to intervene. And I'm saying that's not what is happening right now. And I feel like I'm the minority right now, saying that this right now, what is happening in Israel is a precursor for the Antichrist to show up. And when he shows up, we're out of here. We are raptured out of here. So that's what I believe is going on. I don't think this is the Ezekiel war. I don't think this is the Psalm 83 war. I think this is a precursor for the Antichrist to make a move on earth, and we're going to be ripe for the picking if we're not careful. We're going to be deceived by the Antichrist, and we may not even know who this person is. But again, for us pre-tribbers, I believe once he gets unveiled to the world, we're out of here. We're out of here. So hopefully that makes sense as to why I don't think this is the Psalm 83 war or the Ezekiel 38 war. This is what people are going on and on about. They just want the world to end, like today. But you still have the Antichrist to show up. You still have to deal with the mark of the beast. Then you have to deal with all the stuff related to Jacob's trouble, pestilence, beasts coming after people, famines, earthquakes, stars from heaven falling, demonic attacks, Nephilim, all kinds of stuff going on. We haven't even talked about that. People just jump right to the end. They jump right to the Millennium Kingdom. It's crazy, right? Anyways, I hope you got something out of this. I hope at least this spawns a little bit of thought when you're reading the scriptures, you know, as to what's really going on here. Are we being played like a harp? That's what I always ask. Like, is there something going on that we're not seeing? That's why I call my channel Black Swan Revelations, because everything is related to a Black Swan event. And if you're in a Black Swan event, one of the 3 criterias of being in a Black Swan event is you don't know you're in a Black Swan event. But a Black Swan event, the first criteria is you never saw it coming. Folks, literally days, weeks, months leading up to October 7th, we heard people say that there were thousands of rockets being pointed at Israel. Just watch Watchman River. Watch his channel. Go back to October 7th when he was posting, and back up 2 weeks, back up 10 or 15 videos, and all in a row he's saying, he's reading the news reports every single day, and he's saying there are hundreds of thousands of rockets pointed, 250,000 rockets pointed at Israel. Folks, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And then they signed the 7-year peace treaty. All this stuff. He's saying this. So for people to not see this coming is kind of weird, because you got YouTubers, Watchman channel, saying, here's what's happening. Rockets are being pointed at Israel, and then Israel gets surprised when all the media, all the news outlets are saying that rockets are being pointed at Israel, and they still did nothing until this happened. It's kind of strange, kind of a mystery. So this is what I like to do sometimes, is I like to review people's YouTube channels leading up to the event, maybe 5 days, 3 days leading up to it. What are they saying? And then what are they saying that's different afterwards, after something happens? That's what I like to do. So feel free to do the same thing on my YouTube channel. I think just maybe a week or so before the war in Israel, I said there was a war coming. And I got made fun of because they're like, I don't see any nukes. I don't see any wars anywhere, all this stuff. And I said, I just feel it, man. I feel it. There are people saying it, that there is a war coming. And then the next video I said there is also a spiritual war coming as well. A blindness, if you will, that we're going to be desensitized by what we see, all kinds of stuff. So just go back to about September 20th, 23rd, all that kind of stuff, and watch my videos and see what I was talking about. Something was in the air. We were all feeling it. And if you watch all the Watchmen channels, they're all saying the same thing. Something is weird. Something's about to blow. And then October 7th it happened, and then everybody's surprised. Anyways, hope you get something out of this. If you have, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Let me know in your comments, what do you think is going on? I'd be interested in knowing what your thoughts are. And don't forget to let me know where you're watching these videos from. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.